It's Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, an unprecedented day in a Champions League football. 18 games playing simultaneously. With that being said, how in the world will you watch 18 games simultaneously, Mr. Davis?
Well, thank you to Galasso and CBS Sports for producing a show that attempts to hit every game and the moments that matter. Now, imagine with 18 simultaneous kickoffs, they won't be able to show us things, immediately after they happened every time. It'll be like there's a goal in this game. Oh, and then, 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, there was a goal in a different game, and now we cut to that game. I talked to Nico Cantor on my radio show yesterday, and there will be a live table. This is the thing for me that's maybe most important about this, is being able to see the live table. Because as goals happen, teams are going to be moving up and down, and that's the drama. Now, I don't always love a live table when there are games that aren't happening simultaneously because, things change, and then it's like, Manchester United is up to 8th, and then the goal is scored because Onana stinks, and, now they're back down to 13th, and you're like, it doesn't, none of that mattered. In this case, I do think a live table is going to add a lot to the drama. I don't think you're going to be able to glean anything important, anything sort of in depth from watching these games if you try to watch more than one. I mean, my standard thought is, and I've watched thousands and thousands and thousands of soccer games in my career, and even before that, just as a fan, if you're watching more than one game, you're not seeing either or any of those games. Does that make sense, Rob? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's easy. When you're watching one game, it's easy enough to get sucked at watching the ball and not watching what the larger picture, but let alone putting your eyes from here to here to here to here. And if one guy's scoring a goal over here, there's some movement or something interesting happening that's not, occupying your eyeballs.
Exactly. It's sort of like in White Men Can't Jump when Wesley Snipes and who's the other guy, Woody Harrelson, when they have the conversation about Jimi Hendrix in the car. Do you remember this conversation that they have in the car in White Men Can't Jump? Or I'm the only one that thinks about this movie on a regular basis. There's a conversation about Jimi Hendrix in the car.
Most of my memories with that movie are Rosie Perez related, I think, actually.
That makes sense. I understand why you would have Rosie Perez related thoughts about that movie. But in that movie, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes are arguing about Jimi Hendrix because Woody Harrelson, Billy Hoyle, says, I listen to Jimmy. And Wesley Snipes says, but do you hear Jimmy? You may listen to Jimmy, but do you hear Jimmy? These are different things. And that's kind of it. Like your eyes are taking in images from the game, but you're not understanding what's happening at an actual soccer level. Now, that's for the purists among us. That might not be the ideal way to watch a soccer match. That's not what we want. We want to be looking for how teams are using width or whether the midfield is being played through or over. Like we want to see these things happening. We want to understand the push-pull of the tactics and see what's going on there. But if you're talking about a pure entertainment spectacle, Robert, there's nothing that can match this. Right? I was looking for a word yesterday for this. Did it on my radio show. I put it on my Blue Sky, Davis Jason on Blue Sky if you want to find me. And I think finally somebody hit me with the right answer as to what to call this. And he said footinalia, but I'm going to go with footballnalia because I think that's I like footballnalia better than footinalia. So you know bacchanalia? You know bacchanalia, right? Bacchanalia is like an ancient word for a over-the-top crazy party with wine and sex and all kinds of crazy things. Festivals in Rome dedicated to the god Bacchus. And Bacchus was the god of fertility, festivity, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy. This was Bacchus. So this is a footballnalia that we've got coming today.
So is Bacchus one of those type of parties that I heard about that they'd eat so much that they'd throw up so that they could eat some more?
Possibly. Is that apocryphal or real? Do we know if that's real? I will also say, if you've ever seen Caligula, and I think it's difficult to find these days, that's what the Bacchanalia kind of vibe would be. If you know about the very controversial film, Caligula.
I know that I'm getting old and my eyes are getting a little bit fuzzy, but I think I'm gonna have to focus on just one game. If you were to have to watch just the one, you said you're not really watching any if you're watching them all at the same time. If you were to single one out,
you're not seeing any. You're not seeing any if you're watching them all at the same time. But you're watching them, but you're not seeing them. Right? These are two words that mean the same thing. By the way, this is confusing to me in Spanish as well, because you have mirar and you have ver. Anyway, so Manchester City is where a lot of people are going to be looking, because they are currently on the outside of the top 24, meaning if they don't get any points from their match today against Club Brugge at the Etihad, they will be knocked out of the first phase of the Champions League. And that would have been unthinkable when the season started. Correct? Am I wrong about that?
I mean, at Halloween time, we wouldn't have thought that either. I mean, it's really been such a edge of a table experience there for Manchester City. So would we have thought that they were on the outside looking in the Premier League? No. Would we have thought that they were like even more on the outside looking in the Champions League? Certainly not. And their matchup with Brugge.
Not with 24 spots out of 36. Like, as much as this is drama and I'm excited and there's still some jockeying to be done and it will be a live table watching and all those things, I will point out that 24 of 36 teams, only 12 teams are getting eliminated today. Mm-hmm. Only 12 teams will be knocked out of the Champions League at this phase. Now, the top 8 will be into the round of 16 automatically, and then those teams 9 through 24 will be into the playoff round. But, that is a thing to consider. Juve, not in a precarious position. I think they're through to the top 24, but can they improve their spot? They have Benfica. Benfica's also trying to make sure of their place. They can be jumped over by a City or Zagreb, Dinamo Zagreb, who plays AC Milan. Milan's all the way up in 6th. They're just trying to make sure of their spot in the top 8. So there's a couple of things. And then, yes, shout out to my man Jonathan Tannewald, who will also get name-checked later in the show for a different reason. Stuttgart and PSG. Stuttgart at home, German side, Bundesliga trying to fly the flag for German football. And then you have PSG, massive club, so much money spent, Parisian giants and all of that. If they don't get a result today, it could be curtains for their Champions League. And that would be nearly as surprising as City getting knocked out. Although I think it's likely that both of them will be through by the end of the day. I think that's likely, although not guaranteed. PSG could be in serious trouble.
You think that would happen, but we shall